The Justice Department is moving to abandon federal oversight of police departments in Louisville and Minneapolis, major cities involved in police reform deals in the wake of two high-profile police killings. The agreements, which are known as consent decrees, were implemented by the Biden Justice Department after it said it found a pattern of excessive force and discriminatory practices. The 2020 killings of George Floyd in Minneapolis and Breonna Taylor in Louisville, both at the hands of white police officers, spurred these investigations and also the reform efforts that followed. But the Trump Justice Department is now arguing that those reforms aren't in the public interest. The Justice Department's Civil Rights Division is also closing investigations into a half dozen other police departments around the country.
Hi, thank you for joining us another episode of Carr2Carr. I'm Ramon.
And hi, I'm Dana. And today we'll discuss the consent decrees being dropped around the country. Just a quick review of what a consent decree is. It's an agreement between the police department and the Department of Justice to implement reforms as a result of a police department possibly using excessive force, discriminatory policing, or not following the Constitution. So they come to an agreement, implement police reforms so that it can address those issues and also enhance police-community relations. So what are your thoughts about consent decrees being dropped around the country?
Yeah, and to your point, it's an actual court order. So it's a legal document that forces police departments to enact these reforms. And the only reason for these court-ordered documents is because there's been an issue. Okay. And so, there's not just a consent decree just because someone wants to put a consent decree. So, it's disappointing that this happens because there's a high hurdle in order for the Justice Department to actually implement a consent decree on a police department. The Justice Department goes to that department, looks over tons and tons of documents, interviews people, and make a decision. And so it's not an easy process for these things to be enacted. And so when you see them being dropped, you're disappointed, and I'm disappointed because I know that it was put in place for a reason, and there was something that needed to happen. And so that the police department wasn't doing themselves. So, leaning on the police department that's already doing something wrong, it's not going to, the police department is obviously not self-policing itself. And so that's why they had a consent decree. So when I think about it, I think about the consent decree that our police department was under. And, it was because we refused to police ourselves. We refused to change some of the ways that we were treating, African Americans, males, and we had an abundance of shootings back to back that, really only was targeted at African American males. And so when I think about it, I think about what happened in our police department and just can only imagine what happened in the other police departments.
Similar issues that run across the board: discriminatory policing, constitutional violations. And one of the things that is so important is one that usually there's an event that causes the Justice Department to come in and review and look for patterns and practices. And the reforms are, once it's determined that the patterns and practices aren't illegal, they are illegal, then they come in and implement reforms. So I am disappointed in that because of the lack of accountability that can occur, and they can also wipe out all the reforms, the gains that a police department has gotten from implementing those reforms can overnight be washed away. And I implore police departments to not go back. You've implemented the policies, you implemented the reforms, you're moving forward, you're building trust with the community. Don't go back. Don't go back, because to build it again is such hard work, and I think it'll be just a slap in the face to the community and the officers who put in the hard work to turn a new page and move towards constitutional policing and equitable policing. So don't go back. do not go back.
I agree. And, you know, there may be a misnomer here where people may feel like police officers don't want consent decrees or don't want change. Ultimately, we want to legally and constitutionally police. We want our police department to be looked at as one that has integrity. We want our profession to be looked at as one that has integrity and you could believe in and trust, because for the most part, the majority of us got into this job to serve and protect, to help others. And so when we see our police department go down a path of unrighteousness and violating the Constitution, we're happy that something like that actually happens. And I just think about us as we left our police department in the battle that we had, you know, trying to ensure that our police chief at the time was doing the right thing. And, you know, not only that, I mean, this is very personal for us because we can speak to a situation where we actually had to sue the police department, you know, and because of our stance on constitutionality and our belief in accountable policing. And so, you know, when I think about a consent decree being taken away from any police department, I think about first, what happened to get that consent decree? And then second, like you said, what's going to happen once that consent decree is taken away? Because obviously the police department was unwilling to check itself.
Yes. So again, I have nothing further to add other than just stick to the reform, stick to the policy. You put the hard work in, the heavy lifting has already been done. So you've agreed to the changes, so just continue to move forward and don't go back, and continue to build trust and have better community police relations. It's safer for everyone. So
it is. And with that said, thank you for joining us on another episode of Carr2Carr. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and leave us a comment and let us know whether we were spot on or we were off. Thanks for coming.
till next time.